What's good, y'all? Anderson Emerald here, and we are talking about the 2025 Tokyo World Championships coming up in just about a week's time, and I am previewing the women's 200 meters today. So many different athletes, some carrying over from the 100, some who are 200 meter specialists. We also even lost the Olympic champion, Gabby Thomas, due to an Achilles injury. Hope she gets healthy and, gears up for next year and the subsequent years as well. But let's dive in. If you haven't already, check out my previews of the men's 100, the women's 100, and the men's 200, and we're gonna have more previews going on through the week. First off, some of the contenders who I think have a shot to potentially make the 200 meter final here. You have Tori Lewis from Australia. She's of course been a young rising star over the past couple years. You have Jael Bestu from Spain. Apologize for that pronunciation. She's run 22-1 this year, so can't be counted out. Jessica Gabay, she made the Olympic final last year representing Cote d'Ivoire. I also have Ashanti Moore as a fringe athlete to potentially make the final. I know Jamaican fans, y'all probably gonna be like, what? Listen, Ashanti Moore, she's run 22.31 seconds this year, but she obviously just has not been consistent enough in the 22 lows. 22.31 is literally her personal best. But like I said, she could be a spoiler. Also, I do have Daryl Nita as someone who might be on the outside looking in, which is crazy because y'all know I always root for Daryl Nita. She was 5th place at the Olympics last year, but this year it's been a little trickier for her, dealing with injuries, dealing with coaching change, and she's run 22.3, but just hasn't had that strong showing to say I'm definitely confident about her getting in the final, but she has a talent and could get in there. Also, Marie-Josee Smith, she's also had a decent season as well. She's run 22.2 seconds this year, getting the World Championship qualifier, relatively recently, but a little tricky to see. I'm not sure how she's going to hold up, especially after the 100, where I personally have her getting a medal. Check that preview out. But we'll see, about her. She's made so many different 200 meter finals. But let's move in to my top 8. First off, I have Mackenzie Long getting my 8th place here. Now, Mackenzie literally just benefited out of Gabby Thomas pulling out of the World Championships. Mackenzie finished 5th place at USA's behind Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, Anavia Battle, Gabby Thomas, Brittany Brown, and then Mackenzie. Brittany Brown got the wild card by winning the Diamond League final, so Mackenzie Long also gets a spot to the World Champs. Now, she made the Olympic final last year in the 200, and even this year, she's already run 21.93 seconds just a few weeks before USA's. But the tricky thing for me and why I don't have her much higher up is because the second half of her season hasn't looked as great as I would have expected it to for someone like Mackenzie Long's talent, where she was also trying to get the wild card before Gabby pulled out. She unfortunately finished 6th place at the Lausanne Diamond League and then 8th place in the Zurich Diamond League final. After the Zurich final, she had posted, I think on Instagram, maybe in her stories, and she said she's ready to take kind of a mental break, a physical break, and all these kind of things to reset. And then it just so happens that Gabby Thomas pulls out. So a little resetting to do. I think that Mackenzie is extremely talented. She's run 21.9 this year, but it was before the USA Championship. So a little hedging, not too sure. She could move up, but I do have her in 8th place. Yo, before I continue on with the predictions, I need y'all to tap in with everything Citius Mag. We have a full team on the ground in Tokyo getting coverage for the entire World Championships. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, where we'll get stories and results and quotes and breaking news and all kinds of things almost minute by minute as the championships is going on. If you're not already, subscribe to Citius Mag on YouTube for not only post-race interviews with the athletes, but we're going to have post-race shows after every day of the championships. Eric and Aisha, they're going to be there for Good Morning Track and Field. And we'll probably have a few exclusive interviews with not only athletes, maybe some other people as well. So be sure to tap in for that. And then finally, if you're actually going to be in Tokyo for the World Championships, we're partnering with ASICS to host a few group runs in Tokyo. So go in the description. I got links for everything so you can make sure you're up to date with Citius Mag. We got ya. Let's get back to those predictions. After that, 7th place, Amy Hunt from Great Britain. This has been Amy Hunt's season. This has been her return to the track, and she has been hitting on all cylinders in both the 100 and the 200. The 100, a little bit more of a challenge, but here in the 200, I think she's poised to make the final. She was very consistent on the Diamond League circuit all throughout the year, though second half of the year, didn't go as strong, finishing 4th and 6th place in Silesia and Zurich, but UK Championships, she ran Dina Asher-Smith to the line, running 22.14 seconds for a personal best, and as I said, she's been holding her own in the Diamond Leagues, whether it's the Chinese Diamond Leagues, early in the year, whether it's the Paris Diamond League, whether it's the Rome Diamond League, just her ability to hold her own against the other top athletes. That's why I do like her making the final. Only 7th place, but anything can happen, as I said. Moving up, y'all gonna be mad. Now I don't know if y'all gonna be mad. Shericka Jackson, I have her in 6th place here behind a couple different women. Now, this to me personally is actually probably gonna hinge on what occurs in the 100, where if she doesn't do well in the 100, I'm not sure how that's gonna translate over to the 200. And, if she does well, then, I think she's going to do very well in the 200, might do better. But just based on what we've seen this year, it's hard for me to put Shericka ahead of some of the other women because of the consistency that they have displayed that she hasn't yet shown so far, specifically in this 200. She opened up her season in April running 22.79, finishing 2nd place behind Anavia Battle at the Chinese Diamond League. She then won the Racers Grand Prix with 22.53. And then more recently at the Silesia Diamond League, her last race before Worlds, she ran 22.17, but she was kind of pushed all the way to the line by Brittany Brown. So essentially, Shericka has had some either losses, close races, or she did win the Racers Grand Prix, but those high quality races against other athletes, it just has been a little bit closer and not the strong prowess that we know Shericka is able to display, in previous years to give me that confidence that she's going to finish higher up. Now, let's be clear. This is not taking away from her talent in any capacity, where Shericka is obviously the 2nd fastest woman in history. You can argue she's the most consistent 200-meter sprinter time-wise in history. And, when we look back, at her career, those GOAT debates are going to be really, really heavy, even without an Olympic medal. But as we look at the 2025 landscape, I just don't have enough to confidently say she's going to beat out some of the other women that I do have ahead. Again, I would be more than glad to be wrong, but just have Shericka Jackson in my 6th place here. We'll see how things pan out, especially after that 100. Let's move over. Dina Asher-Smith from Great Britain. I have her getting the 5th place spot here. And this was a little interesting because Dina actually hasn't had the most consistent season by, all measures in the 200, where up and down results across the board. She did pretty well at the London Diamond League and then did well at the UK Championships, but then, did relatively poorly at the Lausanne Diamond League. She then bounced back and did really well at the Zurich Diamond League. And even earlier in the year, she didn't do that well, at the Paris Diamond League. So all these kind of mixed results are really tricky for me to parse out Dina Asher-Smith. And she moved coaches. She left Texas to move back to London to, train in the middle of the season. That, of course, is going to have its effects. But I do look at Dina Asher-Smith as a much stronger 200-meter runner than the 100. Even look at last year, where she didn't make the final in the 100 meters at the Olympic Games, but she not only made the 200-meter final, but went on to finish 4th place. I feel confident in Dina's ability to compete with the best. That doesn't mean, obviously, I don't have her getting a medal, but do look out for Dina Asher-Smith. She hasn't been on the 200-meter podium since 2022, and she was the gold medalist in 2019. So anything can happen, but shout out to Dina Asher-Smith. I have her in 5th place. Just above, this is where I get to Anavia Battle. Now, she has arguably had the best season of her career this year, winning literally every single Diamond League race she competed in, except the Diamond League final, where she did finish 4th place. But the 2 Chinese Diamond Leagues, the Golden Gala at the Rome Diamond League, the FBK game she also won. She won the Paris Diamond League, and then she got to USA's and finished 2nd place, only behind Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, and she ran 22.13 seconds, which is the 2nd fastest time of her entire career, only behind her personal best of 21.95 from back in 2021, which was the last year that she actually made a team. She qualified to the Olympic Games that year. Now, she didn't progress through the rounds, so I think this year she's going to make the final. I don't have her on the podium. I do think it's going to be pretty close, but this is the year that Anavia Battle has been showing up and showing out. It would not surprise me to see her get under that 22-second barrier once again. I feel like that Zurich Diamond League race where she finished 4th place was just a blip on the radar. That was her first race after about a month, from the USA's, and I think she's gearing right back up for Worlds, but anything can truly happen, especially with all these women that I named so far. Anavia, Dina, Shericka, Amy, Mackenzie, even some of the others that I didn't have, like Marie-Josee Smith, Daryl Nita, Ashanti Moore. These women can also make the final, or some of the other women can also medal. It's just a little tricky considering who I have above. Now, top 3. I think the top 2, y'all can probably guess. And I guess maybe based on who I'm, haven't mentioned yet, you could probably guess the 3rd place, but bronze medal, I have Brittany Brown getting onto the podium once again in 2025. Last year, she got the bronze medal at the Olympic Games. She won the Diamond League. She won Athlos. This year, she finished 4th place at the USA Championships, literally by thousandths of a second behind Gabby. But she went on to the Diamond League final and eventually won that Diamond League race to get the wild card to the World Championships. But what I love about what Brittany Brown has been doing and why I'm confident in her ability to actually get on the podium, outside of her being a World Championship silver medalist from 2019, outside of her being the Olympic bronze medalist and 2-time Diamond League champion, the progression that she's had this year has really shown that she's actually getting better as we get closer to the World Championships. She ran 22.17 earlier in the year, right before USA's. Then she finished 4th place. But then the Silesia Diamond League, she ran 22.21 seconds to finish 2nd place, literally pushing Shericka Jackson all the way to the line. Like very, very close race. Then Lausanne Diamond League, in absolute torrential downpour. She wins that in 22.23 seconds. And then finally, the Zurich Diamond League final, 22.13 seconds for a season's best, going toe-to-toe with Dean Asher-Smith. And that proves that she's able to execute under pressure. I know people don't like Brittany Brown's form, like it's not the best and maybe it's not the model of sprinting, but listen, she gets it done. So Brittany Brown, I have her getting on the podium once again. When we look at the top 2, this was too hard for me to say that someone is going to break it up. Julien Alfred, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, I have Melissa getting the silver medal and Julien getting the gold. So let me break these 2 athletes down. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, she's had a dream season. In the 100, of course, I have her getting the gold medal, but in the 200, she's also been so consistent. 21.84 seconds to win USA's ahead of literally everyone. 21.99 seconds at the Grand Slam track meet in Philly to beat out Gabby Thomas. Literally, even before that, I think the Miami Grand Slam track meet, 22.15, was probably the first step of like, okay, she can really do some damage in the 200 because that was a PR. So I like the progression that Melissa Jefferson-Wooden has had this year. I think that she's really going to probably improve on that 200-meter best, maybe get down to 21.7 in some capacity, especially in my opinion, coming off, that gold medal in the 100, that momentum that'll carry through into the 200. And I think she has a ton of untapped potential that we really have yet to see. You don't run 10.6 seconds multiple times in your career without being, a great 200-meter athlete. So Melissa, I have her getting the silver medal. I do think it's just a little tough to overtake Julien Alfred here, who I do have getting the gold medal. Julien Alfred has run the world lead of 21.71 seconds. She's also run 21.88 seconds all the way back in April. And combined with what she's done in the 100 meters and the silver medal that she got last year at the Olympic Games, only behind Gabby Thomas, what I think is giving me the edge for Julien Alfred is, of course, the personal best, running 21.7 into a headwind, but the fact that she's already been able to show that she can do a double at a global championships. Melissa hasn't done that yet. Melissa also hasn't even been a true 200-meter runner for most of her career. Julien Alfred was dominating the 200 and the 100 and the 60 indoors and out while she was in the NCAA. She went to the World Championships in 2023 and made the finals, finishing 5th in the 100 and 4th in the 200. Then she came to the Olympic Games, won the 100, and finished 2nd place in the 200. She's just been a little bit more experienced for me when it comes to the 100-200 double, and I think that's going to carry through when we do get to these World Championships in Tokyo. And I think Julien Alfred is capable of course she's, capable of running 21.6. She's run 21.71 into a headwind, slight headwind, but I think she could, in theory, she could run 21.5 if conditions are perfect, if she's like in the right, condition, if everything is going right for her, she could run that. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not making time predictions. I just think that Julien Alfred has a lot of untapped potential, just like Melissa, but just a little bit more. So I have these things kind of flipped where Melissa gets a gold in the 100, Julien gets a silver. Here, Julien Alfred gets a gold in the 200, Melissa gets a silver. But absolutely anything can happen, not only with Julien, Melissa, Brittany, but all these women behind them as well. They're all in contention for these medals. A lot of it with Shericka, with Dina, with Melissa, with Julien. Things are going to hinge on what occurs in the 100, but I think we're going to have a race to the finish line across the board. But those are just my personal predictions. Again, my opinion. Give me your opinion in the comments below. Let me know your top 3, your top 5, your top 8, whatever it is. Be sure to let me know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Truly appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.